and against all odds beat the garrison, only to sack the settlement and die of attrition.
Oh my god.
So it's Sig Wolf and...
And we're back with more Grim Kleaper. Before you watch this, please make sure to go and watch the original, linked at the very top of the description, as always. Now, from the title, the thumbnail, and this frame in the video that I randomly selected, we're gonna be doing Archaon's campaign, which is something I don't think I've seen before, and I personally haven't played it yet. I think I still have yet to play any of the Chaos factions, to be honest with you. Unless if you want to count Skaven, but that's not really it. From what I remember watching reviews and from you guys in the comments, I don't think Archaon's campaign was very good in the first Total War game, and it's kind of gotten updated over time. I'm pretty sure he was in the first game, right? Like the Warriors of Chaos. And in 3, I think it's much better. Yeah, I'm probably going to be doing a lot of pausing and just like taking a look around and seeing how the campaign works, unless if Kleaper explains it to us, because I'm pretty sure he has like some sort of unique mechanic when it comes to chaos and stuff like that. So yeah. And also, before you go down into the comment section and type out 0, when are you going to be playing Total War Warhammer? I've been saying I've been playing the game. I stream the game every single Thursday right here on the YouTube channel. Just, I guess, you know, you have to switch over to the live tab to see that, but it's also on the homepage, which is on the very top row. We do live streams practically every single day, so yeah. If you're interested in seeing any of that, make sure to be there, I guess.
This video is sponsored by War Thunder. Nature is a beautiful thing.
Ah, yeah, we gotta burn that down.
Then we're gonna burn.
I still need to see the unique model for it when you blow it up with one of Iket's bombs, or one of the Skaven bombs. I attempted to do that, but we were only playing our campaigns to short campaign victories, so didn't have enough time to get that done.
Down. You're welcome. Welcome to Total Warhammer 3, where today we're going to be destroying the entire planet, burning down every single city, and ending every faction in the game, with none other than the Warriors of Chaos and Archaon, the Never Chosen. In a world with...
The Never Chosen. Poor guy. There are so many stories about him getting his ass beat until GW decided to step in and be like, yeah, Chaos wins. Which, I mean, that was kind of inevitable, right?
Near omnipotent celestial dragons, mountain-sized lizards, and untold undead legions, Archaon took one look at the internet and decided, yep, let's burn it all down. All across the map are 8 Warriors of Chaos factions: Archaon, Kolek, Sigvald, Azazel, Festus, Valkia, Village, and Be'lakor. While we're starting as Archaon, all the other factions can be confederated, but not peacefully. By destroying every single settlement of a fellow Warriors of Chaos faction, they'll join us willingly, granting us the respective legendary lore. And our goal is to forcibly...
Okay, that's a cool mechanic. I guess it's kind of similar to the greenskins, right? Because with the greenskins, if you beat up their leader, then you can just kind of confederate them, which makes confederating easier than, well, through diplomacy means. Actually, I can't really say if it's easier or more difficult. For any of you guys who have played these factions or Archaon's campaign, please let me know. I still have yet to play a faction that has that mechanic.
Confederate all of them, then destroy every single city, province, and faction in the entire game. So first, the rules. First, I must destroy every faction on the map, and by the end of the game, turn every single settlement into ruins. Second,
oh god, Kleaper, how long did it take you to make this video, man? Like, genuinely, like, hats off to you for going through all of this. So for me to get to a short campaign victory, I already feel like I've achieved quite a bit in the game. But going even further than that, I think even on Steam, if you check the achievements, the amount of people who reach like long campaign victory for a lot of the factions is around like 1 to 2%, which kind of says a lot with how big Immortal Empires is. And once again, I probably brought this up in previous videos, but once you get to around like short campaign victory, it's kind of just a steamroll. Unless if you turn on the endgame crises, however you say that, which Kleaper probably will here. I guess we'll see.
I cannot use any kind of diplomacy. Every minute spent negotiating is a minute I could have spent burning down someone's house. And lastly, you already know where this is going. War Thunder, the sponsor of this video. I have a dream that one day every man, woman, and child of this planet will own an M1 Abrams for self-defense. Gone are the days of...
That would actually be kind of cool, but also very, very terrifying. There are some crazy people out there who think GTA is real life.
taxation without representation when you play War Thunder. With over 2,500 methods of self-defense ranging from 10 different major nations, protect your right to bear arms from the early 1920s to the main instruments of liberation today. Immerse yourself in fighting for what's right with realistic graphics, sound effects, and vehicles that really make you feel like you're on trial in The Hague. With over 70 million expendable, valuable, and irreplaceable human beings engaged in incredible PvP, rich in military history. With in-depth customization, pilot the drag queen jet of your dreams, or gain the tactical edge by making your opponents play with one hand. The game is free on PC, PlayStation, and Xbox. Plus, by using the link in the description, new and returning players who haven't played in over 6 months get a free bonus pack in the name of freedom. With an exclusive vehicle decorator, massive amounts of dosh, and 7 days of premium access. But act now before my team and I break down your door. Hey, what does this timer mean?
Wait, what?
Now, back to the video.
It is time we march south. Let the quivering fools know we come to tear down their nation, slay their kings, and ravage their
Adam Sandler's your king?
remains.
Yeah, pretty much. Welcome to the Chaos Wastes, a glorious paradise that promises equality for all. Equality in wealth, equality in housing, and equality in life. Now, at the beginning of the game, Archaon is aggressively average. But by the end of the game, we will make him single-handedly destroy entire armies. Our first enemy...
I don't know how strong comparatively Archaon is to the other, like, Chaos Lords. Or really, just the other legendary lords in general. I mean, he is Archaon, so I would assume that he's really strong, but then again, I have seen his name brought up in, like, when you consider, like, really strong legendary lords.
He is a Slaaneshi demon faction, most well known for making straight people very confused. Luckily, we have their counter, whatever these things are. Because our faction is Chaos Undivided, we can gain access to every Chaos God unit. So our starting army has Nurgle Chaos Spawn, Slaaneshi Hellstriders, Tzeentch Chaos Knights, and Khornate Berserkers. I don't want to be horny anymore. I want to be happy. By fighting, all units gain veterancy and experience, but Chaos units specifically use this differently. By gaining levels, they can be promoted into more advanced units. So basic Marauders turn into Chaos Warriors into Chosen or Knights, and in typical Chaos faction, everyone can become Chaos Spawn. The difficulty is getting basic Marauders leveled up, because believe it or not, they do suck ass. I mean, that guy's wearing his armor backwards.
Okay, now that's actually a really interesting mechanic. This means that you would want all of your units to survive, ideally, because they have this whole upgrade path of their own. I haven't played a faction that has anything like that yet, and I wonder if, depending on which Chaos God, or like the amount of units of a particular Chaos God that you have in your army, it'll give you like different buffs and maybe different debuffs.
Guy couldn't even afford a second spike, and that one's just facing the wrong way. They're so bad, we straight up get abilities to kill them faster, which I did by auto-resolving the first siege. In taking the settlement, we're granted a few options. Raising gives experience, sacking gives money, but for this settlement specifically, we can make an actual city. This is because here is a dark fortress, one of several unique locations where we can build massive cities. Most are in the Chaos Wastes, with a few others being in specific locations further south. You might also have noticed that I just vassalized a faction. But wait, you might say, I thought you couldn't have any allies. Correct! For any vassals we gain, I will immediately sever all relations and declare war. And for whatever reason, it's not viewed as untrustworthy. Hey, I may be a genocide.
Interesting. Does that mean every other city you kind of just vassalize, but then when it comes to the Dark Fortresses, that's when you can actually claim territory? Or actually occupy that city? And I wonder if these Dark Fortresses are kind of positioned based on the lore, like a specific city was used by the forces of chaos as a base or something like that? Maybe? Well, I don't know if it should be based off of lore. It would be cool, but also that would kind of potentially be unbalanced. Then again, it is Warhammer 3, like, what? Balance is not a part of its vocabulary. Well, actually, no. We wouldn't be able to do this challenge if you could only vassalize other cities. Because Kleaper can't have any vassals since no diplomacy. Oh, this is gonna suck.
War warlord, but at least I'm honest about it. To improve our army, I recruited the Swords of Chaos, a unique group of elite Chaos Knights, as well as recruited more Marauders. Chaos armies recruit instantly, having a limited pool of units that refreshes over time. The thing is, this pool varies on the area. Normal terrains just have Marauders, mountainous provinces might have Dragon Ogres, and areas with high corruption of any specific Chaos God will have units of their faction. Although getting rid of corruption is easy, just burn down the whole province. Chaos.
Okay, I mean, that can be cool, but also potentially inconvenient if you're looking for a particular unit and you just can't find it because you're not in the right terrain, or maybe it doesn't spawn for you for some reason. I guess the trade-off there is that you can build your forces up immediately, although I suspect that the income is probably not great. So when you're playing Archaon, you can't really have like a set of units that you just kind of roll with, or like pick up only the best. You kind of have to use what you have then, I'm assuming, and use it as effectively as possible.
Campaigns are pretty much a poverty palooza because I'm going to be burning down a lot of cities for no other reason than the vibes were off. Minor cities barely have any value to us because we can't really build anything there. Nearly 100% of our infrastructure will be in dark fortresses. After chasing.
Okay, gotcha. So the mechanic there is kind of similar to Orion, I guess, or like just the Wood Elves in general, when they try to build any settlements outside of a forest.
Facing the Slaneshi faction to their last city, they seduced one of my units to their side. Don't care. Remember, there is absolutely no diplomacy besides war, so all peace offers are immediately rejected, and wars are permanent until I destroy the entire faction and world. Afterward, our former vassal brought 2 armies to attack us in march stance. An entire army of worthless marauders versus one group of Coronate berserkers was not close, and anything we lose can instantly be replaced with our own worthless marauders, which I used to negotiate an end to the war, only to have another war declared by the resident Russian ice cream man Boris, who'd march straight up to our capital city with no units nearby.
Well, here comes Boris. I think Boris's bears are very, very strong in the auto-resolve, so this could be pretty bad. I don't know who has it worse. Boris starting near Archaon or Archaon starting near Boris?
Luckily, because I'm Chaos, I just pumped out an entire army in one turn. I also activated our first Gifts of Chaos, another special mechanic which uses our secondary currency souls. Here we can choose gifts from each Chaos God, giving faction-wide bonuses at the cost of souls.
Okay, let's see here. Oh, it's at the cost of souls, as in like upkeep. Not like a one-time price. Or maybe there is an upfront one-time price as well.
Per turn. And the way to get souls, you could probably imagine. Right now, we can only access the undivided gifts, but later we'll get gifts from each Chaos God. So I just took the melee attack increase for Marauders and a Shatterstone ability to break walls during sieges. Although in the case of Boris's siege, use it to throw a rock at some homeless. For as strong as Polar Bear riding Boris is, my Chaos Lord spirit leeching him 15 times was a little stronger, resulting from his strategic genius of banging his head against a wall. I named our Chaos Lord Abaddon. Tactical genius. Then Abaddon went to remove the remaining Kislevite army. Apparently I lose this battle.
Yeah, that's what I was saying, right? That was a group of bears, yeah? Yeah, there you go. 13 bear riding warriors is gonna beat an entire army.
Unfortunately, we do have a problem with this new army, because whatever it is we're paying them with, we're out of it. The Everchosen may have a lot of things, but a good credit score is not one of them. To get out of this, we'd have to use our wits, resources, and financial literacy. Filing for Chapter 7 bankruptcy. Having credit card debt isn't a problem if you stop paying it. Bankruptcy causes attrition for all units, including garrisons. But for Chaos, a negative income isn't really that bad, because we supplement it with everyone else's money. Plowing through Boris's land gave us another dark fortress, and an involuntary vassal in Sigwolf, who had no settlements because I refused to give him any. Then he squared up against Boris's last settlement, and against all odds beat the garrison, only to sack the settlement and die of attrition.
Oh my god.
So it's Sigwolf and...
Now that's a big brain move. I suppose in this instance, it makes a lot of sense for Chaos to not have that great of an income, because then it kind of promotes a super aggressive play style where you have to sack a bunch of cities, which you would probably be doing anyways, because like just capturing cities in general, it's not going to be too beneficial to you. Or maybe that's not the case, and the reason why our income is bad within this particular campaign is because Kleaper's not vassalizing a bunch of people. Because I'm pretty sure if you vassalize them, then they would likely just give income to you as well, right? So the more vassals you have, the higher the income and the more units you could field. I suppose both ways would work. It just really depends on the type of way you enjoy playing the game. Or rather, how risky you want to be with your own economy. Because just fielding a ton of units could work, as long as you're continuously sacking and willing to lose a ton of money over it. Not really my play style, but maybe I can try it out someday.
Boar is both gone, we can now return to our current goal, confederating all 7 other Chaos Lords. The plan was to grab Kolek and Village first by moving down the right side of the map. We need to completely decimate both of their factions entirely, and since I need to walk all the ways there, I figured it was a good time to do Archaon's first quest battle. No, I mean the second one is easier anyways. I'd like to apologize. Maybe the better target is this Nurgle faction between us and Kolek. By the time we'd wiped out the Nurgle faction, some of my Marauders could be promoted into Warriors, and Warriors into Chosen. Well, there are a few infantry in the game as good as—
Actually, give me 1 second. I want to see exactly what you used there. Oh, okay. So you basically just pay money to upgrade them. Well, it's kind of the same thing as like just recruiting a new unit, but this is an instantaneous upgrade, yeah. Selected unit must be rank 5, depending on their battle rank, okay.
Well, there are a few infantry in the game as good as Chosen. There is technically one Chaos Infantry unit that scales so unbelievably hard, it breaks the entire campaign. They're useless right now, but with the research tree, they become ridiculously busted. Chaos's technology mostly revolves around unlocking boons for—
Judging from the color there, they're probably the Tzeentch Chaos Warriors or whatever. I feel like the Tzeentch units in general are just really, really strong, especially if they're controlled by a player as well, considering the fact that they have their own shield, and as long as you manage the shield and you bring them out of combat when it goes down, then they just don't die. And fighting against them with, well, when the AI is controlling them anyways, it's kind of a pain considering how many ranged units they have and how mobile they are on their little flying UFOs. I hate that flaming chicken man, but someday I'm probably going to have to try out his campaign.
Each Chaos God, with a path for Khorne, Nurgle, Tzeentch, and Slaanesh. Completing the entirety of these trees gives space for adding more boons of chaos. The main way we use souls. The more boons we have, the faster another mechanic triggers, the Eye of the Gods. Each time it fills up, we get to select a powerful buff from 4 random options. Sometimes they're mediocre, and sometimes they're a little game-breaking. But right now, our main concern was Kolek, because we'd finally bordered his land. Declaring war on his vassals would pull him in, and only a few turns later, Archaon was fighting both factions' armies. The vassal army was nothing special. Given my army was rapidly becoming Chosen and Chaos Knights, everything just kinda dies. But Kolek was another matter. 1,000 weapon strength and the mass of a mountain of lard, he beat the absolute booty off Archaon while chasing that ass. My only course of action was something tame, to hotbox him in every large unit on the map. And because that was Kolek's only army, we just marched up to his capital, giving us a special Warriors of Chaos.
Kolek does a ton of damage, and from what you guys have said, every single time you vassalize somebody, you gain mass as well as size, which in turn kind of increases your power as well. Although, because of how large he is, I would assume that he's probably just weak to missile infantry. So as long as you got a couple of them focusing on Kolek and somebody who's tanky enough to hold him down, then you're probably okay. But then again, like, the important part there is mass, right? Because when a unit has a high enough level of mass, I believe they can straight up just like walk through infantry, or well, walk through basically anything that doesn't have a mass that is equal to it. I haven't run into anything like that yet, so I'm not sure if the AI knows how to utilize that. Because for the most part, all the units that I've fought against have kind of been able to be stopped by just like, you put a lord or a hero or just another melee unit in front of them, and they just kind of get locked into combat with them. Whereas you can just have your your missile infantry units just kind of run around and flank them. get some good flanking shots in.
Option and Force Confederation. This forcibly recruits any legendary lord of the Chaos faction into our army, with this case being Kolak. Now if we go check our lords, we can use him to lead an army, which means
Mountain
1
God.
Chaos lord down, 6 more to go. Okay, 5 more to
Nice.
go. Village died. And Force Confederation also gives you that faction's vassals, and as much as I care about their $37 tribute, I could just end vassalage
Bruh.
that turn for no penalty. And only a few turns later, we were finally making money. A feeling that won't last. Still, for the time being, it meant we could regroup without needing to constantly sack cities, and while Archaon began his journey back to the north, Abaddon had been busy. Our territory stretched southeast like a misshapen dildo, meaning Abaddon had been defending.
Oh man, props to the editor for all the amazing work, but I feel you, man. I've done some editing work in the past for other content creators, and sometimes there are things where you question whether it should be in the video or not.
the north from a random orc tribe that spawned in the Chaos Wastes. They sacked a city, leaving behind a pile of poo. Then the following turn sacked it again, leaving behind an even bigger pile of.
This isn't modded in, right? Oh, man, Warhammer never changed. It literally is an enormous pillar of poo. When a heap of crap isn't humiliating enough, the greenskins can really go for it with a towering pillar of the stuff.
feces. But it's okay because I deconstructed it for money. To whoever does our construction work, I am.
Oh wait, no, yeah, that's right. You get money for that for some reason. I've only had that experience like once or twice. It's been a long time, but during the Lizardman campaign, I believe. Either that or it was freaking Grom during a Skaven campaign. But yeah, it's certainly very interesting. Also, what is Kleaper's build right now? We're going on down the full yellow bar? Oh, I'm sure all of you guys know, but for those of you who don't, you can kind of tell what skills a particular lord has leveled by looking at the circle over there with the number 17. And it looks like Kleaper's gone down the entire yellow line with just like 1 point into the red and blue line. Usually I go for the blue line first, and I don't really know the optimization for most lords. I just kind of wing it. But I feel like the blue line has a lot of good stuff there.
So sorry. We also had a Chaos Rebellion, angry about all kinds of important political issues, like literally everything. The Skaven below us had also declared war, and I defended that by letting my outer cities get sacked and not giving a crap. Don't worry, nobody rich lived there anyways. All our actually important stuff is in dark fortresses. Besides, Abaddon was too busy raiding the Chaos Demons to our left to narrowly avoid bankruptcy, which tricked the Skaven into a false sense of security. He's standing right behind me, isn't he? Ah, right, these cities did just belong to me, didn't they? Unfortunately, separating us and the Skaven capital was another faction, the Chaos Dwarves. Maybe they won't notice me trespassing.
Oh god.
With the Skaven eradicated, we can return our attention to the far north and the Chaos Lords on the left side of the map. Both
gonna be a long
Volky and
trek.
Sigvald start in the northwest, so paving through the Chaos Prince faction would get us access. The others would be south of us, Be'lakor, Azazel, and Festus, so we confederate them last. We'd also unlocked our first god-specific gift of Chaos, being an additional Tzeentch gift. This works exactly like the undivided gifts of Chaos, with different gifts to choose from. I picked one to improve our spell casting at the cost of mid-cast chance, but as it turns out, Tzeentch is kind of a dick. Mid-casting has a chance to damage the spellcaster when casting, but somehow this mid-cast applies to literally every ability on every.
I wonder if Kleaper is intentionally calling it midcast. Miscasting can be super duper funny. I think I've only ever seen it happen once during a video. I believe it was during Reggie's video. One of them that he had on his second channel. I think it was like a Beastman campaign or something like that. Personally, I still have yet to experience a miscast, but that's also because I don't really double cast very often, or like at all, to be honest. I just have never found an opportunity where it's completely needed, but I should learn how to, because I believe some spells can become much, much more powerful when you double cast it, and like it gives it a completely different ability rather than just making it do more damage, you know?
Every unit. Trying to block with your shield? No, I think you mean blow yourself up. What about just moving a little faster? Blow yourself up. Okay, but I just drank a I probably should have changed this, but I didn't because I forgot. Considering that Archaon had just narrowly escaped an erotic episode with Kolek, and casting spells would literally blow up in his face, it was clear he wasn't yet the world beater I was hoping for. We needed to level him up and quickly. We needed his unique quest items. We needed to fight their 4 battles. And we needed training.
The Slayer of Kings. Oh, heck yeah. This is an awesome edit.
So at the end of the 4 quest battles, we collected all Archaon's unique items, and where he'd started at just rank 23, in one turn he had leveled up 13 times. By the 3rd quest battle, he just ran straight.
What did you say?
In one turn, he had leveled up 13 times. By the 3rd quest battle,
Jesus Christ. Did you just continuously keep on doing the quest battles over and over in one turn? Was your army able to do that? I guess so.
he just ran straight into an army, killed their leader in 5 swings, and won. Plus, in the 4th battle for the Crown of Domination, this is him versus a Lord of Change. And that's not even mentioning his other ability.
You think I am not versed in the arcane?
We'd gotten so much XP, the entire army
146 speed? Like, 90 speed is already really fast. 146. Yeah, ain't nobody running away from Archaon. Archaon slapping people for like 3-4 times and then Lord just dying and winning the entire battle. No wonder why you were able to do all the quest battles in one turn. So then, yeah, I guess that answers it. Archaon is very powerful indeed. I probably should have expected it. I kind of was. It just... I had never heard him mentioned before when it comes to like the straight up just busted legendary lords. Although it could just be misremembering.
Was pretty much just chosen, and one of my chaos sorcerers had leveled up to a new milestone, unlocking his mark of chaos. With this, we can dedicate any of our chaos undivided heroes to specific chaos gods. So by gaining a mark of Tzeentch, he became a Tzeentch spellcaster with a new talent tree and skills. This can be done for most heroes and non-legendary lords, who gain a special version to ascend to demonhood at higher levels. For our legendary lords, while they can't devote to a god directly, I can specialize their armies in other ways, like recruiting Kolek just so we could make him a proud dragon ogre daddy. He even starts at 800 weapon strength before I've even done anything. His army was positioned conveniently on the border to the chaos demons. Wow, they're so tolerant. Sacking small settlements for $5,000 is a decent step up from looting desolate chaos wastes, but the real prize is that most of the remaining dark fortresses are located to the left, meaning we could actually boost our economy. Of course, economy is a strong word, considering we make money by planting heads on the ground and talking to the sky. 90% of all chaos worshippers stop right before they hit it big. Or in our case, recruit the insane hero, heroes, meet Charix and Zira.
What is this?
These creatures have dedicated their life to none other than reading, while simultaneously
Are we featuring these because this is like a legendary hero? I would assume so, because I believe this model is quite unique.
being illiterate. Their skill tree includes every single spell from every lore of magic, except for each lore you gain, they get minus 4% spell costs. In total, this means a 60% discount on all spells. Seems pretty strong, right? Well, in true Tzeentch fashion, they're also batshit crazy, because every time they do cast, they re-randomize all their spells with every spell in the game.
Oh my god, of course. Yeah, it certainly is true Tzeentch fashion, isn't it? Can't even speak right anymore. It's freaking RNG, man. Like, how are you supposed to learn, like, as a new player, if you jumped into this campaign, like, oh boy. You just gotta, like, sit and read every single one the moment it changes. My god. I guess they do have to have that kind of trade-off if they're going to give you every single lore in the game.
Which means we can start off with an icy hailstorm, followed by Egyptian death magic, summoning a ghost pirate ship, then a volcano, and topping it off by spawning rats with chlamydia. Oddly specific for a spell, but then again, I also summoned crabs. And conveniently, Sigval, chosen of Slanesh, well-known boy toy, and the next skull we're going to cave in. With both
Peeps have been telling me to react to Sigvald's speech, I believe. I think it was Sigvald. And for one of his quest battles. Apparently it's like incredibly epic or something like that. Don't know if I should just do a reaction video to it or if I should experience it for myself in campaign. No idea when that's going to happen, but I feel like in campaign would be just a more authentic experience.
Him and Volkia directly to our left, it made sense to continue ever bossing through the Chaos Demons. By researching our first gift of corn, we could adopt a boon to increase sacking income, gaining thousands per looted settlement. And spoiler, we're looting everything. The Chaos Guides tell me a lot of things, like the location of your safe and why I should throw it in the ocean. Even with the Demon Prince himself showing up, armed with an army looking like leprechaun vomit, he died pretty easily. Then on the diplomacy screen, hey, you okay there, champ? The goal was to lure Sigvald to the last demon settlement while we caught him distracted, spreading Tzeentch corruption. Sure, he's got 3 vassals, but that's just 3 times the money. Archaon's army was fighting.
Why is Sigvald spreading Tzeentch corruption? I'm pretty sure Sigvald follows Slaanesh, right? Yeah. I'm like almost 100% certain with that. I don't know. Maybe AI was doing weird things, or maybe Tzeentch kind of got to him.
Both Sigvalds and another random stack, with Sigvald's stats being pretty good, but not good enough. We'd also promoted a Tzeentch sorcerer hero, and while you might know magic carpets, what about magic Roombas that can even summon giant eyes from other realms to aggressively stare at people until they die? Ironically, Sigvald wasn't really a problem, but his legendary hero Harold Hammerstorm was, who sat fighting a blob of maxed out Chosen until Archaon arrived. Killing Sigvald.
Is Harold Hammerstorm a unit that any Chaos faction can recruit, and they kind of get the quest for that? Or maybe it's specifically... Wait, Sigvald's not Champions of Chaos. Yeah, I don't know the specifics around that. I just know that he was included as like a free LC lord. Or legendary hero, I should say.
Is fantastic, not because I care about Confederation, he's a loser, but rather for his defeat trait, 10% damage reduction. A trait so good, I exploited it into extinction. As soon as he respawned, I continuously hunted him down to farm the trait, over and over and over. Endangered species? No, I think you mean dead. Sigvald's other weapon.
Also, I didn't see that in time. I think that was physical resistance. I mean, it's pretty good for a legendary defeat trait.
Was the fact that he had a crap load of heroes. Some from him, some from his vassals.
But
and I only had one on the campaign map. Our boy, Prince Ograx. Now, apparently he's famous or something, but what I care about is that nearly every turn for the last 50 turns, this man has walked up to dozens of heroes, coughed in their general direction, and with a lowly success rate of 100%, erased them from existence. In one turn, we blitzed his armies in a few cities, plus encountered both Azazel and Volkia, 2 more of the 7 lords to confederate. We also made contact with Karl Franz, who I think invaded Poland. But most importantly, we researched our first gift of Nurgle, along with the most busted ability ever, replenishment of all armies in foreign territory, as if my units weren't expected.
That is busted. You can kind of get this ability as well with Oxyodal. And it just makes like waging war across the entire world so much easier.
Expendable enough, now they replace losses no matter where they are, which is exactly why I recruited a 4th army, dedicated to Slaanesh. The Warriors of Chaos also have no supply line, so no matter how many armies we recruit, our upkeep doesn't expedite.
The more armies you field, the harder it becomes to maintain them all, as supplies become more complex, gold and supplies will go missing, your officials having little idea where they may have gone. Interesting, I've never read this before. All the darn officials.
Naturally increase. This is helpful for committing various acts of inhumanity across the northern wastes. Lore-wise, Norska is supposed to be helping us, but I don't need help. I need more naked men with whips. With our first Slaaneshi gift of chaos, I took an increased movement range boon at the cost of more upkeep. Joke's on them, it's not even my money. Sacking pretty much every settlement possible, all of our money went into upgrading the dark fortresses to try and maintain a positive income. Or, green number go up, very good. For all the great quest items Archaon has, he doesn't. The Crown of Domination, Pride Jewel of the Everchosen, ditched for a health potion. And later we'll be replacing the Slayer of Kings with the Sword of Cain, and turning the Neverchosen into the Everchosen. Besides, the major war...
I mean, the Sword of Cain is usually probably the better choice. I mean, you're already playing a Chaos faction, you might as well, right? But it's kind of unfortunate that the legendary items are kind of not the best in slot for some reason. But then again, that just goes back to the balancing and stuff. And maybe the effects are more about like being lore accurate in a way, or just straight up weren't tested.
We were fighting wasn't with swords or crowns. It was the decline button on peace offers. Look, Bill Cosby, I said no the other 10 times.
Bill
11 is not
Cosby.
going to help, especially not when Kolek is outside your home. Ending Sigvald once and for all, we convinced him to join
Nice.
us, adding him to our legendary lord pool. It did leave a
Supreme
few
vanity.
homeless vassals strewn about, and you know how I feel about poor people. Bringing Sigvald into the fold, I recruited him for a 5th army of whip-wielding warriors. Remember,
Yeah,
it's not
Slanesh.
gay if only
Okay.
men are involved, like this guy, who joined our
Dang.
faction at an unfairly high level. One of the buffs for the Eye of the Gods increases recruit rank by 10. That means I can just spam out high-level
Whoa.
sorcerers, exalted heroes, and lords every time we get
Heck
it. As for
yeah.
our legendary lords, Archaon was already at max level, but his build of items wasn't complete, missing only the Sword of Cain from the elves. Halting our progress was a great cataclysm spell, unleashed by only the most powerful mages, and causing $9 of damage. Fortunately,
It's like, it's such a nothing thing that happens. It can be really annoying when it happens when you're like trying to build up a settlement and then it gets paused because of that. So you end up wasting a turn. But like, yeah, it doesn't really affect your economy for the most part. I've also had similar situations where it's just been like, you know, super cheap like that, like around 10 or 20 gold to fix. The really annoying one that Tzeentch likes to do to you is the one that gives you the attrition no matter where you are for your army. It sucks, man. Like you plan to invade a particular territory, you've fully replenished all of your troops, and then you head out, and then Tzeentch just hits you with that. And now you're taking attrition the whole way through if you continue, and even if you stay, you're kind of just left vulnerable because your army is weak. It's just, you gotta get rid of all the Tzeentch factions as fast as possible to make your life a little better. Just a little bit.
with Valkia to our left,
Your lifeless corpse shall be dedicated to the blood god.
apparently as soon as
Okay.
Archaon walks into a province, it gets -17 public order. He's
Dang.
basically a modern day Gandhi, but his version of achieving peace is by killing everyone, like Wulfric, our upstanding neighbor. So upstanding that he has an army of allies. Now, I'd like to declare war on him
My
without his
goodness.
allies. So what I can do is go to a faction he's at war with.
Yeah. This still works. Just go to a faction that he's at war with, say that you're going to join the war against them, and then it doesn't bring their allies into it. I don't know if this is the intended way that this function should function, but I do remember this and I do keep it in mind. Hopefully, if a situation like this ever arises.
Then through them join the war, essentially declaring war without pulling his allies in, and immediately allowing us to take a new dark fortress, because by this point we were running out of new ones to conquer. Our capital was making $4,000 alone,
Nice.
because each fortress is incredibly valuable. But as we move further south, we'll be further and further from our fortresses, making recruiting and maintaining armies more difficult. Still, taking Wulfric's land was easy, and in watching us declare war on their closest ally, the Skaven immediately retaliated with a non-aggression pact. As we occupied more cities from Wulfric, we'd also made landfall in the main Old World, where most of the goody two-shoes
man.
order factions are. So it's where most of our future wars are going to
Here
happen.
we are.
Taking an overview, you can see that we own the whole north of the map, meaning that we're going to be fighting downward after we
work,
kill
man.
Valkia. The downside
Yeah.
of this is that we're going to be at war with most of the world very quickly, with a huge surface area of land where enemies can invade. For right now, though, Valkia had finally appeared, and right in front of Kolek, whose army I had massively upgraded. I find it ironic that the Queen of Khorne is fighting Khorne Berserkers backed up by more Khorne Berserkers, pitting the Gore Queen against the Star Crusher in a very fair fight, where I completely cheated. Hey, I don't write the rules, I still can't read. Remember these guys? Turns out I didn't even need the Berserkers, or Kolek to be honest. 4 dozen spells cast at random enemies with random effects destroyed in the actual fight.
Whoa! Okay. Well, we're just gonna move on from that one. I'm pretty sure I saw that one correctly, but yeah. It was super powerful sorcerers. Trade-off is random, but cast whatever random bullshit go, and it ends up working. I guess that's just the Tzeentch way.
Of Kolek versus Valkia, Kolek has a clear edge in strength, with weapons to boost his weapon strength immensely. With Valkia gone, that left her capital wide open, but not just to us. The Dark Elves were also at war with her, and because she only had one settlement left, if they took it before me, I wouldn't be able to confederate. Well, Malekith, it was nice while it lasted. Malekith himself was the real threat, or at least until I actually fought him. Running Archaon in single-handedly, Malekith decided to not fight him personally. So Archaon killed every single large unit and hero in the army while taking 0 damage, because they could not break his barrier even once. Malekith instead decided to target our weaker lieutenant, Prince Ograx, and died anyway. But killing Malekith's army was just the beginning. Our Eye of the Gods.
Malekith does so well in all my campaigns. There's supposed to be a random number that's rolled for each faction that kind of determines how well they're going to do, without your influence there, obviously. But the Dark Elves always do well, for me at least, and like, if you ever have to fight them, then instead of having to capture, like, say, what, 7, 8 settlements, you're probably going to end up capturing like 30 to 40 settlements. It's going to be a very long war to fight against them.
That opened and given us a boon that replenishes all campaign movement points after every battle we win. So after the fight, Archaon pursued every retreating army because it refilled our movement every single time. It also somehow broke Sigvald more than he already was, because now he moves further in default stance than in march stance. With Valkyria's forced confederation, that left only Be'lakor, Azazel, and Festus. The first order of business was to recruit Valkyria's army. Apparently, she gains movement when enemy armies retreat, so running away means a trip to Soundtown. Plus, when people cast around her, they blow up. Perfect, I really needed more of that. So while Archaon erased the Dark Elves from Nagaron, let's turn back to the right side of the map. Norsko was essentially ours, but both Azazel and Throt were still problems with no answer. I declared war on them, hoping my new armies could finish the job, while our main lord there, Abaddon, had reached level 30, allowing him to ascend as our first demon prince.
Here we go.
This acts as a step above dedicating to a god, allowing generic lords to become super-powered demons. Besides the North having the coherence.
So it basically just looks like Daniel, which is a campaign that I should probably try sooner rather than later. But there's just so many factions to play, man. Spend thousands of hours in the game and probably not play everything.
Of a US senator, the South was equally as bad. I'd finally declared war on the Empire, pitting us against an increasingly high number of factions, and it's only gonna get worse. Remember, we still have the entire rest of the world to take. My infiltration.
Okay, that UI thing was actually kind of fixed. I believe during Kleaper's video, when he had a one-man army, if you declared war against too many factions, it would go straight off the UI. But now it actually properly like snaps and it creates rows and stuff. But considering what we're attempting to do here, we're probably gonna see that.
Structure was also reaching capacity. With 100k to spend, I could not physically use all my money.
That is
and
a
now
lot
that
of
we entered
income.
the old world, we'd have to deal with the real warmonger of Total Warhammer. Karl Franz. Karl had somehow come face to face with the now demon prince Abaddon, and with him was 3 whole steam tanks. Maxed out armor, high health, and unbreakable morale, the steam tanks played a friendly game of skee-ball, where every hole was Abaddon's face. I did my best to juke their shots, but as soon as Franz joined in, I knew this would end in one of 2 ways. Abaddon running away, or me uploading a steam tank gangbang to Brazzers. At least he could do 2 things right: fireballing some Craigslist captain to death, and hitting the gym, the American one. Saving us again was our chosen with great weapons, hacking down Karl and breaking the tanks before the guard. On the other side of the world, Archaon was having...
Jesus, yeah, I don't know if I could win that kind of fight. Because Karl becomes super strong, especially when he unites the Empire, which I think nowadays would be a lot easier for him to do. Also, what turn are we on, actually?
Similar success. His army...
Turn 124, okay. Yeah, my body's blocking it, but I don't think we have the endgame crisis on, or any particular one, so I think we're good. Yeah, this challenge would probably be far too difficult. Either that or just take way too long if we did turn that on.
Could raid for $1,400, which is more than what the settlement is actually producing. He's not really raiding, he's just subsidizing the local farms with fertilizer. By this point, I had nearly a dozen armies, ranging from STD spreaders to STD receivers. Archaon sacked the Dark Elf capital, sacked a different neighboring city, then came back and sacked the capital again. Now, of all the threats we have, which is the worst? Malekith, Marathi, Azazel, or Karl Franz? Well, it's actually Throt. See, Sigvald was out minding his own business, raising some cities, sacking some settlements, typical stuff. Then this happened. That is an entire army of Hellpit abominations and doom wheels. He has 2 cities. Of course, and being surrounded by giant
he has 2 cities? Does that mean the Under Empire is just massive that he can actually support that? Because, like, all of those Hellpit Abominations and Doom Wheels is going to cost you a heckin' ton. Although, if it is the AI controlling it, then they probably do get bonuses and stuff, depending on the campaign difficulty here. Just, like, 1 or 2 Hellpit Abominations is annoying enough, but, like, that many?
Beasts, Sigvald was right at home. Slaaneshi units only really have one benefit. They just don't die. For these guys, getting hit by a train is a pretty average Tuesday. Slowly, over the course of 10 minutes, Sigvald grinded down each Hellpit Abomination, Skaven hero, and Throt himself while regenerating to full health. Even after winning the battle, we still had 4 Azazel 20 stacks to deal with. So Abaddon killed all 4 himself, then confederated Azazel. As for his vassal,
To be honest, I'd rather be raiding.
there's a reason you need level 30 to become a demon prince. It is insanely strong. Ascending cuts your level in half, so you need to work all the way back up to max. But where Abaddon is a Chaos Undivided prince, you can get others. For example, turning the Slaaneshi sexy man into sexier man, a no-names each lord into a no-names each demon, and our famous Reddit man into Reddit mod. Even our
I didn't know how strong ascending to demonhood would be, but I guess at that cost, it kind of has to be. Else, you know, it wouldn't be worth it. But I mean, like, at this point in the campaign, we're probably just going to steamroll anything. Because, like, yeah, I was talking about how that army is going to be difficult to defeat, but Sigvald basically single-handedly took him down and finished the battle with full health, too. Yeah, we're past that point. We're just gonna completely decimate the entire world, actually bringing about the end times.
Demon Prince Lords are insanely powerful, with Kolek having taken the entire left side of the map on his own. Though I think my favorite part of being Chaos is ignoring what the game tells me. Trespassing will have diplomatic repercussions. Despite owning the entire top of the map, our strength rank was only 2. Cathay was rank 1, the Skaven in the south is rank 3, and Marathi is rank 4. Of course, that doesn't include the real number 1, the Wood Elves. Not because they're strong, but because every Wood Elf faction is allied to every other Wood Elf faction. Plus, the Skaven we were fighting in the north kept ambushing my armies. Except armies means literally just Sigvald, and ambush means getting trashed by him. Watching him get ambushed by 4 armies at once and not taking a single point of damage. In the meantime, our other enemies had different plans. Archaon's getaway cruise also gave way to an important event, the Sword of Cain being claimed by this loser nobody. Fortunately,
okay, well, it's time to go get that. Also, I believe Sigvald is a pretty good legendary lord to use in multiplayer competitions as well. I watched a few matches casted by Turin, and apparently it's because he's like, he has really good stats, and he's also a small target as well. That might not be the most accurate description for why he's a good pick, but I get the gist of it, that he's just a good pick in general.
The game tells me exactly where he is, and now this was it, the moment we've been waiting for. A legendary duel to the... turns out we didn't really need the sword or the other 19 units in the army. By defeating the holder, we get to take control of the sword itself, bestowing massive stat bonuses.
Lovely. Look at that. 20% ward save, armor piercing 450, melee plus 25, magical, and the ability Sword of Cain, which is that cyclone thing that does a freaking ton of damage.
To an already juiced Archaon. I tested the sword against King Lewin of Bretonnia, where it could summon massive vortexes and protect the wielder from most damage. Once again, Archaon took effectively no damage through his barrier. But invincible or not, he's also on the far left side of the map. And on the far right side was Cathay demanding payment. $5,000? What do you want? For me to starve? That puts us at war with strength rank number 1, along with declaring war on Marathi.
No.
Oh, okay. And in addition, a whole lot.
I've honestly never seen Cathay do very well in my campaign, so this is going to be interesting to see what they can actually bring about, what kind of defense they'll set up, because they're, in the balance of power there, it looks like they are actually quite a bit ahead of us. Although, thinking back earlier in the video, we did see Village die pretty early, so he probably got owned by Cathay, I'm assuming.
A lot of stuff that I am just going to speed through. Killing Throt, killing Kislev, killing Durthu, owning an insane amount of cities, crapping on Marathi again, raking in that sweet raiding income, and to top it all off, confederating Festus.
I don't need my sword to strike you down. Here's a maggot.
Killing the Changeling, killing Throg, attacking Clan Pestilence, collecting every Chaos boon, make Sword get bigger, watch Karl Franz be alive, then walk into 4 stacks of Chosen, checking my diplomacy, then realizing I don't know who's gonna declare war on me because it goes off the screen, so I declared war on everyone. Then lastly, fought our final Chaos Lord, Bellicor, in a battle I would detail greatly if it didn't last 2 minutes. So at the end of everything, what's the actual result? On the left side of the map, I owned everything before Lustrian, where the Skaven had taken over. And in the center, I controlled the Empire's former land. But most importantly, we confederated all of the Chaos Undivided Lords under one faction, bringing us to the next...
Rip lol. I need to know, Kleaper, how long did it take to finish this? I think it would be, well, just thinking about it, like such a monumental task. Imagine a campaign where you actually like conquer the entire world. How many hours would that take? Would it even be worth it in the end? Would you have some sort of sense of fulfillment, or would you just feel like you wasted your entire time? For any of you guys who have actually done that, like, firstly, you're a madman, but secondly, please let me know how many hours it took you, just to get a good estimate, because I don't know, I think it would be interesting to do at least once, but also I wouldn't want to invest that much time into that. Depends how much time it takes. And it's probably going to be very different depending on the faction that you play.
Next challenge, the Endgame Crises.
Oh, we do have them on. Okay, here we go. Which one do we have on?
As I mentioned
Everything?
briefly at the start of the video, I've been playing this campaign with Ultimate Crisis mode on. This means that upon reaching a long campaign victory, we'll have 10 turns before every endgame crisis spawns at once, essentially stacking over 100 armies all over the map directly at war with me. And because my...
Well, I probably just missed it then. Then yeah. This is gonna be one heck of a fight. If we have everything on.
The goal is to conquer every single province on the entire map. I have to fight every crisis to the death all at once. The only thing between me and the crisis starting is the Empire dying. Chaos Dwarves, Wood Elves, Greenskins, Skaven, Vampire Counts, Tomb Kings, and the Dwarves. In 10 turns, all 7 of these factions will spawn ludicrous amounts of armies in each of their homelands. So the Wood Elf armies spawn in Forest Glades, Dwarves spawn in Mountain Strongholds, so on and so forth. The Skaven crisis works a little differently, but we'll get to that later. It's also the reason I have saved $600,000, so I can recruit about a dozen more armies all across the map. Now, I could abandon every single non-Dark Fortress settlement and pull back, but there's a reason I'm not. Something I've been avoiding talking about this entire game is resources. Gems, dyes, wine, lumber, iron, all the tradable goods in the game. Now, because we're at war with everyone and have no treaties, trade is worthless. But what does matter are the unique chaos buildings for each resource. Every building gives a unique faction-wide bonus that does stack. And because I control a solid third of the whole map, well, furs give plus 10 Marauder armor. I have many furs, so my Marauders have 600% more armor. Why?
I didn't know this. Is this specifically for just the Chaos Warriors, or does this apply to other factions as well? Because I've never had this many settlements and this many copies of the same resource. I just knew that if you had like 10 of the same military building, it would reduce the global recruitment time by like 1 turn for whatever units that building produced. But I didn't know that there was a mechanic that applied to the resources as well. I always just thought that it was there for trading.
And gives them plus 5 melee attack. So lo and behold, with all my wine, 300% stat increase. One even gives minus 5% building cost. So my buildings are essentially free. For that reason, ideally, I'll be defending most of my land. Still, I had to pull back a bit to natural choke points, like the 2 gate fortresses that lead into the Empire's land. Archaon, Valkia, and Festus were positioned in front of 3 of the Wood Elf spawn locations. Azazel defended a far north dwarf spawn location. Several armies sat in front of a Skaven spawn point, some defended the far right side from Cathay, and Kolek stood on a bridge, ready to fight a whole continent. I passed the final turn before the crisis, and all hell broke loose.
Okay, let's see this. Some good music
Grombrindle,
selections.
Umgrim, Throt, Manfred, Cetra, Vlad, Kemmler, Grimgor, and 4 sets of elves, just to name a few. My first move was instantly blitzing 3 Wood Elf factions into extinction, using Festus to kill Umgrim, and throwing an army of marauders at a dwarf artillery line in a choke point and somehow winning. But not everything was according to plan. Several of my armies had the crisis spawn and trap them completely. And I'd even completely forgotten about the far, far north dwarves, so I had to recruit a cheap 20 stack for a snap defense of the Dark Fortress. Outnumbered, outgunned, and fighting significantly better units, I was able to use a Shrine of Slanesh's AoE passive damage to slow.
Oh, okay. So it's a Mortis engine effect. I guess just the Chaos factions have something like this. We did see how effective this was in Kleaper's other video, where he played Helmengorst. But the effect intensity here increases with each nearby entity death, and considering how many cheap units we have here, it's probably at max.
Drained melee units, while microing the garrison's Chaos Knights to pick off the reinforcing ranged units. But the real hero was a single chosen who stood on the wall, taking artillery and gunfire for the whole battle while ensuring the wall towers kept firing. He eventually died, but will forever be memorialized as Gary, the little chosen that could. The North was safe, at least for now, allowing us to send Archaon through a Chaos Dwarf tunnel leading all the ways to their land. Their crisis spawns these tunnels all over the map, and any faction can use them, meaning wiping them out is a priority. I finally ended the first turn of the crisis, and you know what? I think we really accomplished a lot.
Okay, here we go. Yep. You're just gonna lose a bunch.
By the way, I'm barely editing this just so you can experience what I'm experiencing. You know, I actually had to cut out a few in the interest of time. It's still going.
Oh my god.
I hope you like siege battles, because we're going to be fighting a lot of them, as a faction with almost no ranged units. Another 40 minutes of grinding this time, and we weaseled out another win, meaning I was just barely able to get sieged again the next turn in the same spot by a different faction. How is it possible that we keep holding, despite so many sieges and such incredibly unfavorable odds? Well, remember when I was explaining the Chaos Warband system? We recruit Marauders who turn into Warriors, and eventually Warriors turn into Chosen. But what I didn't mention is that Chosen can ascend too into aspiring champions. At the start of the game, these units suck. They're a direct downgrade from Chosen and are generally worse. So what changes? The research tree, which I have completed. At the start of the game, they are naked, but now they have perfect vigor, frenzy, fear, immunity to psychology, poison attacks, regenerating barriers, regenerating health, damage scaling, movement speed, more armor, ward save, magic resist, and range resist. Oh yeah, they can also summon demons. They have more health than most heroes, are specifically buffed by Archaon, and have a stat line that rivals even the fiercest crack hobo. So in being sieged by 4 stacks of undead, they killed the legendary hero Krell, held against literally 10,000 enemies, and took essentially no damage at all. Go Gadget!
These guys are insane, but it's like a super late game unit because it requires the tech tree to essentially be completed, I'm assuming. Do any other factions have a unit like this? I'm pretty sure from the factions that I have played, I mean, I guess like Claw's Workshop can kind of buff your weapon teams, but and they become really, really strong, like, don't get me wrong. I don't know how they would fare against something like this, though. Or, like, in comparison with their power level.
Napalm Strike. Because barriers regenerate infinitely, I just kept pulling out the units with no barriers left, letting them replenish, then throwing them back in. And to be fair, this level of cheese is completely necessary. Even after this battle, there are still 8 armies. At this point, most of my best armies have to be cheesy. For example, I have a Tzeentch army, the god who's all about magic, trickery, deception, and outthinking your opponent. Yeah, I made a Roomba death staff. Every flying unit is instantly goomed to death. Then I sit on my 6 chosen with halberds and everything dies. My Nurgle army with Festus, he has an AoE passive heal. I sit in a blob and he cannot take damage. And don't even get me started on the Skaven incident, where I kited 4 stacks of Skaven artillery with 1 flying unit until they all killed each other with friendly fire. And Valkyria's army is very simple, where she eliminated the northern dwarves pretty easily. Even when she got ambushed, it didn't wouldn't really matter. Ambushing Valkyria is about as effective as attacking a grown woman with a pool noodle. She will reach into her purse, call forth the power of the chaos gods, and smite you. As for Be'lakor, I'm not really sure what he was doing. Despite even these disgustingly powerful armies, I still had to abandon the mountain pass because there was too many enemies. But my real problem was the Skaven. Now, you see, the Skaven crisis functions very differently because it doesn't exist.
You did mention this
Instead
earlier.
of a full-blown invasion, undercities will begin to spawn. These act as staging grounds for the Skaven invasion and force me to run around trying to find all of them. I also can't just check for Skaven corruption map-wide since it always gets masked by chaos corruption in my territory. I know where the main Skaven army will spawn, right here at Hell Pit, just not where the exact location of the other ones. So what would a well-adjusted, sane individual do to combat this? Hey, other rat people, let's dig under this city. Oh my god, you burned them all down. Because I know they spawn somewhat close to Hell Pit, I just burned everything remotely near it down. You can't have an undercity without a city. So when the full Vermintide triggered a few turns later, they were met with a barren wasteland and one city to siege. I didn't think it was possible to win this fight until I realized something. If you put units on top of the walls towards the inside, ranged units still want to shoot them, but they can't hit them.
Oh, God. I've been on the other side of this as the Skaven. Rattling guns are not too great when it comes to sieges. Unless if you can get inside the walls instead of like a kill box or something. But like, yeah, assaulting any units on the walls is kind of difficult because it's just kind of impossible to get an angle. Warblock Jezzails do a little bit better at that, but still not great. You definitely need your artillery units. The Blade Claw catapults do wonders here, as well as the Poison Wind Mortars. In particular, the Regiment of Renown Poison Wind Mortars do a heckin' ton of damage. They don't apply poison, I believe, but yeah, they just do so much to any units that are just kind of stuck up there on the wall looking at you unknowingly. Don't realize the danger that they're in. But yeah, I mean, we're not fighting Ikit Claw here, so we can kind of waste their ammo by using this tactic.
So the fight was 20 minutes of this. The end result is not only them wasting all their ammo, but any Skaven infantry that tried to climb the walls were immediately shot to pieces. On the far right side of the map, we defended against Cathay with the great Glugmir. Now, I know this is a defensive siege, but what? You expected me to not run outside the city with all my units and camp 4 armies worth of reinforcements on their spawn point? Rookie move, Cathay. Then Glugmir left the settlement to hunt down every retreating lord and army. Before long, we were able to reverse the endgame tide, moving from defending our cities to sieging down the Chaos Square capital, burning down the Oak of Ages, and having Archaon solo the entire Greenskin crisis. Oh my god, it's something else. Being in between a rogue idol and a Ragnarok spider, Archaon is, you guessed it, regenerating health. In the span of me losing track of time, because dear god, I'm losing my mind, we'd gone up to 468 settlements, and the number of people we were at war with had rapidly declined. Don't be fooled by my negative $100,000 income. I am embezzling all of it. Kolek destroyed the entirety of Lostria, Festus ended the Tomb Kings, Tretch died to Valkyria, Be'lakor, I still don't know what he's doing. And Archaon reduced the Great Wall of Cathay to the Great Speed Bump of Cathay. There were only 3 factions left on the map: Helmandor, Cathay, and Count Noctilus. So what better way for Archaon to defeat the final survivors of the world than by doing it himself?
That's great. Yeah, Helmandor's kind of busted, but you can't even... You're not going to be able to fight this
Count
one.
Noctilus, and all of Cathay completely eliminated, meaning there were finally no more factions, except for a single Beastman tribe. I couldn't actually find their armies because Beastmen hide by default, so you know what? You win. Here's a military alliance. Wink.
The true winners were the Beastmen.
Wink. What's up?
Oh
Bitch,
shit, no!
There are no factions in the world. The diplomacy tab literally...
Well, I take that back. I see what happened there. Military alliance, you reveal their location, and then you jump them. Your reliability goes down, but like, you're the only people left in the world, so...
Can't even be accessed. But didn't I promise that the entire world would be ruins? Why, yes, I did.
That is incredible, Kleaper. I kind of want to know how many hours it took, but also I'm scared to learn. You're probably gonna tell us here at the end of the video, and I'm just hats off to you, man. My God. The crazy challenges.
And with that, there
you
is
do.
nothing. 40 friendly armies, 300 hostile factions, and over 500 cities all gone. The only thing left in the entire world is just Archaon. I look around at this planet, and I have to say, it's quite the improvement. No French people, no pointy ears,
Yeah,
and
true.
now Archaon has all the time in the world to sit in his gamer chair, boot up the World Wide Web, and play War Thunder. You didn't think
Ah,
that. Get your
of
bonus
course.
pack right now, absolutely right now.
Lovely. We don't even get to know how long it took. I'm just genuinely in awe of the dedication this man has towards making Warhammer content. And to be honest with you, if this was adapted into the actual end times, I think the end times would be better.